Gaze reading where the greats drop by. Trendy authors tell us all the who, what, and why. Anyone can listen cause we're spoiler free. Gaze reading from Pulitzer stars to book club picks, where the curious minds can get their fix. So you say you're not gay, well that's okay. There's something for everyone. Gaze reading.
Hello and welcome to Gaze Reading. I'm your host, Jason Blitman, and on today's episode, I have the lovely Angela Flournoy talking to me about her book, The Wilderness, and Rickey Laurentiis is our guest gay reader today, and she also talks about her book, Death of the First Idea, which is a new book of poetry. It is such a funny and wonderful coincidence that it just so happens that both of these authors, Angela and Rickey, they were just longlisted for the National Book Award. Angela for fiction and Rickey for poetry. Congratulations to both of them. Both of their bios are in the show notes, and both of their books are also out now. So super, super excited for each of them. And what a weird coincidence for this episode. Thank you all so much for being here as always. If you like what you're hearing, please share us with your friends. Follow us on social media. We are at Gaze Reading on Instagram. And if you are so inclined to leave a 5-star review, that is super helpful for the algorithm and for those who might be looking for a book podcast to enjoy. The October book club pick has been announced with Alstora. It is Middle Spoon by Alejandro Varela. And I recently had a conversation with Alejandro that you could listen to. It is spoiler free, so you could check it out before you read the book, and you could learn more about the book club through Alstora. Again, link in the show notes. You can also watch these episodes over on YouTube. We have a Substack, we have merch, all the things you can check out on the Gaze Reading Instagram in the link in the bio, or of course in the show notes. All of that said, thank you again for being here, and please enjoy my conversations with Angela Flournoy and Rickey Laurentiis. Angela Flournoy, welcome to Gaze Reading.
Thank you so much for having me. Very excited to be here.
Here to talk about The Wilderness.
Yes. Oh my God. Do I need to have a copy of the book?
No.
Because then I'm going to have to run away again. Okay, no. Okay. We're here.
You remember what it's about, right?
Yes.
So then you're good.
Just making sure I'm not reading or anything. Okay.
Oh God, no. No. I don't want to hear from you.
Nobody wants
I read it already.
It's true. No one wants it.
Yes. Congrats on being shortlisted for the Kirkus Prize.
Thank you.
Incredible. I want to get into some of this journey that you've been on, which I know that everyone is going to want to talk to you about. So we won't linger. But before we do, what is your elevator pitch for The Wilderness?
My elevator pitch.
And this ride can be as long or as short as you need.
Okay, so this book is a novel that follows a group of 4 close friends over 20 years, from their early 20s into their 40s, millennial friends. And I really think about it as a true coming of age. So a lot of times people focus on becoming like a young adult from adolescence. But to me, that is literally child's play compared to what it feels like to mature into middle age, where there are just a million paths you can take, a lot of complications that are not necessarily things you anticipate. And it is about that group of women who live in New York and LA experiencing those 20 years of their life. While also... You said, the ride...
Yeah, it could be as long as you want it to be. Here we go.
Someone
just got off, so now we're continuing to go.
While also, and this is we're going all the way to floor 34 now, is while also experiencing the last 20 years of American life. All of that.
You just touched on so many pieces of, obviously, this is what your book is about, so many pieces of things that I do want to talk to you about, but a quote in the book is, an essential aspect of growing up is how we remain connected to others as we move into middle age. Have you figured that out? Was this book an exploration of that? Were you trying to figure that out?
I've been trying to figure that out since I started writing the book when I was only 30. And now I'm 10 years older than that. But I've always been, I love an intergenerational friendship. So I've always had older friends And I really admired the way that some of them really seemed to be able to hold like both their biological families and their chosen families close. And I felt like those people seemed to have the most robust, like middle age and even like into their senior years lives versus the people who seemed to not be able to do that. The people who went all in on family and now their lives are very small or weren't even able to hold any. They're just out here alone, maybe just with like their spouse and their kids and nobody else. And the difference in just how they felt about the world around them and how happy they seemed to be. And so it was something that I wanted to explore is how do you do it? And I think also having a lot of older friends that are queer, I realized that they figured out something that a lot of heterosexual people had not figured out. And the only real group that I saw in my life that were heterosexual people who had figured it out were Black women. Like, they had figured out something that it seemed like other people of the straight world had not figured out, which is we can't just put all of our eggs in this nuclear family basket. We can't even put it just in the biological family basket. But like half of the people I grew up calling aunties were just my mother's friends, like her dear friends. And older queer people in my life, they also communicated to me a kind of, oh no, we're like family. This is for real. In a way that I felt like a lot of heterosexual people were just loosey-goosey about their friendships.
Reading it, it is so, not queer-coded, that's not even the right way to say it, but it was so relatable to me as a gay person, this group of Black women friends, right? Like and it really showcased this interesting crossover in these relationships. As I've gotten older, I have found myself with more gay friends, which is, I think, part of exactly what we're talking about. So many of my straight friends have kids now or are like on their journey doing whatever they're doing and
renovating their house.
We gays renovate our house too.
I know, but it doesn't. It's like it can be your personality without meaning you don't have a social life. Like I have to go full HGTV about it.
Exactly. It's hilarious because I'd say as I'm getting older, I have more gay friends. I went bowling yesterday with a group of gay friends yesterday, and I'm realizing how much older I'm getting because today I'm very sore just from bowling. And I was like, okay, we need to find a new activity.
You used to be sore from being in the club. It was just like your thighs versus like your back. From like bowling.
Your feet hurting. Yeah. Right. Dancing all night long. Oh my God, so funny. Okay, you talked about how you feel differently or how you've been trying to learn this in the last 10 years of writing the book. I think a huge part of this book coming out for you is going to be people talking to you about it being 10 years since your last book has come out. Like I was saying earlier, I don't really want to linger, but I'm curious, what does it feel like now? Having gone through the process before and now to say, okay, I've taken this time. What is it like this time?
This time around, I think that there's so much has changed. There's the inside baseball of the way that the book world has changed.
Yeah.
And also I think the way that my awareness of readers has changed because there wasn't like Book Talk or Bookstagram. You didn't really get a sense of the reader as a consumer, really. You met them once they came to your talk and stuff. But now, the whole time you're writing a book, if you happen to take a gander over there, you see the way that they talk about books. And it is not necessarily the way that you want people to talk about books when you're a writer, but it's interesting information. And that's one thing that's changed. But I will say that over 10 years, when you take this long to write another book, you go through all sorts of cycles about like your beliefs of what will happen when the book comes out. And in some ways, you end up feeling like a debut again. I have no idea what's going to happen. You can't really take anything for granted because it's been so long.
Yeah. Is it validating for this Kirkus thing to happen even before Pub Day? Just to say like, okay, we good.
We got something, right? Little feather in the cap to get this thing. You want to be able to have her second book, comma, and you put something there, right? Something happens with that book. So at least this one thing has happened. So that does feel good.
Yeah. Is there anything that jumps out as something that you heard or learned from Book Talk or Bookstagram or whatever that was like, I don't know, triggering or something that has stayed with you?
I mean, there's certainly, I would say, humbling. There's this way, especially, I don't feel like I'm a product in the MFA system, but I did get an MFA, that before I get an MFA, I don't think I talked about books being literary or not literary, but certainly after you get an MFA, you have a sense of that. And then when you get back, what I've learned in the world of like how readers talk about books is that so many readers are just omnivorous. Like, they are reading authors who put out 4 or 5 books a year, like these series that like have AI looking covers. And then they're also reading, like, I don't know, the Percival Everett. Like, they're reading
right.
whatever they feel like it, whatever people are excited about or tell them about. And there's a way that in your mind you think, I have to be positioned just like this or my reader won't find me. And it's like, there's just readers. Like, there's a bunch of different kinds. Yeah.
You think about things like Heartstopper, which was self-published online and then became this fantastic graphic novel that people loved and now turned into the series. So who would have thought that this little sort of indie thing on the internet was going to blow up in the way that it did? Yeah, that's a really interesting takeaway from the bookstagram world.
Yeah, it doesn't mean that I need to become these other kinds of books, but when I think about where my book lives on people's bookshelves, it's just crazy to think it like lives next to, I don't know, like Faulkner or like even Jennifer Egan. Who knows? You might just be living next to Tolkien and
next to their library printout of that thing they saw online that they loved. And you're smashed in the middle of that.
Yes.
And that's very cool.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, there's a scene in the book, which is like, not a throwaway, but you're going to be like, oh, this is what we're talking about? There's a loud gentleman working in a coffee shop on a weekend.
Oh my God. Did you feel seen? Did you feel attacked?
That is not what I'm bringing up. I feel attacked now. No. And this sentence that he says, I feel like coming from the writer is a bit tropey on purpose, but he is saying on his call, storytelling really does have the power to save lives. And he's like a marketing executive telling like a client, and he's being obnoxious about it. So maybe it's cliche, but it is true. And what does that mean to you? How have stories changed your life for you?
I will say that man was, he was being cliche and he was thinking about, copy. He was thinking about not storytelling, but like marketing copy.
Exactly, yeah.
Like, you can make us rich. That's how it'll change our life.
Yeah.
If we get this copy right, like it will change our lives. But I would say that the old James Baldwin quote that still remains true, which is that it was books that helped him realize he wasn't alone in the world, that he wasn't the only one who would ever experience the things that he was experiencing. And I'm paraphrasing, but that is, I think, the real power of books. I wish books would reliably change policy, etc. I'm not sure if that's true, but what they can do is, for all of us who are living amidst this world, is understand that other people have these experiences, and that especially when you are young or when your circumstances are such that you don't have a lot of interaction with people different from that nuclear family or that one church you go to or whatever, is this idea that there's this big world, and that there is a lot of connectivity like between us.
And that is the sort of beauty and soul of the book, I would argue, because he says with a big sigh, the book is sneaky in that it's really the sort of slice of life of a bigger picture, a bigger piece of life, little slices of a big life. And it's just real and honest and what people do in their sort of daily lives. And it feels simple. And there's something very profound in its simplicity. When you think about decades-long friendships, there's a scene where one of the women asks the other one, or not even asks, says to someone, I feel like we read this in AP English. And there's something so fascinating about the institutional knowledge of friends And I was like, oh yeah, I have friends still that I went to elementary school and middle school with who I have sort of common language with. And they help me remember my history.
Absolutely. I think there's also that other sneaky thing that happens, because in that instance, she's forgetting that she was a much better student than her friend.
Yes.
Her friend is, I
Yes.
didn't take AP anything, girl. I didn't read those books. But
Uh-huh.
this way that when I think about, it's like the accretion of experiences, right? So it's like one on top of another on top of another. And I think that sometimes when people, like, you go back home after you first go to college or something, and that friend from high school tries to hang out with you, and it just doesn't feel like it's going to work.
Yeah.
Some of that has to do with you don't want to be perceived as that person anymore. Like, they have a knowledge of you that you're not interested in having, like having reflected back to you. It's nothing
Absolutely.
personal.
And then there are the people who you might still get along with and you like each other's pictures on Instagram, and then you connect in real life and all you do is talk about the past.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, that's really all we have.
Hmm.
And some of the friends that I have now who I've known for that long, it is this sort of beautiful marriage of things that we could talk about presently and that institutional knowledge of our past. But it's so funny because there are some of these friends where I'm like, you must have been in that class because we were all together. But oh no, sorry, girl.
You were just in regular English.
I forgot.
Right.
This, you say in your acknowledgments that a lot of this was sparked by a relationship that your late mother had with one of her best friends.
Mhm.
Can you share a little bit about the seed of that for you?
Sure. So my mother's mother died when she was 10, and my mother like, her parents were already divorced, but she moved to a different city to be raised by my grandfather and his his new wife. And so she went to a new middle school, and she made this friend named Alicia Williams, who is like she's just made to be like on television. She actually was like on, what is that show called? I think $1,000 Pyramid or something in the
Oh,
80s.
oh my God, that's so funny.
But they just remained very good friends. Like, when I came home from the hospital, my mother was still living with my Auntie Alicia. So that's where I lived first. And
Oh,
my mother
wow.
also has 3 sisters, but this is really like her 4th sister. And in many times in her life was like her closest sister. And
Mhm.
so I was raised calling my Auntie Alicia's child like my cousin. I still call her my cousin. I call both of her children my cousin. And I feel like that constant in my life, like other people trying to tell me that's not your real aunt, though, really reinforced the way that I do believe that friends can be that important to your life, because I was just
Yeah.
like, how do you know?
Yeah. And it also, like, you have to ask the question, like, what makes family?
Yeah.
I, people who have been listening to this podcast are sick of me saying this, but I am such a firm believer in the difference between family and relatives.
Mm. Okay.
Relatives can be family,
Hmm.
but family doesn't have to be relatives,
Yeah.
you know?
Absolutely. And I think that is something that I think part of it, like, one of those things when you talk about like the overlapping, I think particularly with Black people and like Black women and like in a lot of queer communities, that is because of like necessity, because
Yeah.
who is going to support you, who is going to see you no matter what? Like, that is who is your family. It is not necessarily the people in your household. It is not necessarily whoever you discover is connected to you on ancestry.com. Like, what?
Mhm.
How is that person? They're a relative for sure,
Yeah.
but they're
You
not
know,
your family.
the book felt like a cousin of Layla Motley's new book, The Girls Who Grew Big.
I'm very excited to read that. I have not read it yet.
Yeah, it's great. But these books they're cousins. It's almost like a sliding doors who these women could be in the future or in the past or whatever.
Wait.
Yeah, and it's very good, but it's just really special sort of reading about these deep relationships. We have to talk about your audiobook in relation to all of this. Can you share who your audiobook narrators are, how this came to be, who they are to you.
Uh-huh.
It's incredible.
Sure. My audiobook is read by two actors, Asia Naomi King and Ashley Nicole Black. They make me want to go by my middle name as well, but it's too late. And
What is it?
not only TSA knows.
And who knows for how long?
Right. But yeah, so Asia has been in a lot of television. She was nominated for an Emmy for her role in Lessons in Chemistry. She was also in How to Get Away with Murder. And Ashley is also a writer. She's been in a bunch of amazing rooms, including Ted Lasso and currently in Shrinking. And she also was a part of the ensemble cast for a Black Lady sketch show. And we all it's really crazy because we've like been in each other's lives and like rooting from each other, sometimes very close up, sometimes afar, because that's how life is.
Yeah.
But we actually all only went to the same school for 2 years, just for middle
Wow.
school. They went to the same elementary and they also went to the same high school. But I grew up on the other side of the tracks. But we all fed into
I read that book.
But we all fed into the same junior high school.
Right.
And it was a school. The thing about LA County is that when people think of the suburbs, they think of this, I don't know, like John Cheever-esque, homogenous, like very like white space. But LA County suburbs are not like that. A lot of them are ethnoburbs. So our school was very diverse in the sense that it was majority Latino, but also had a big Asian Pacific Islander community and a smaller South Asian community. But there weren't that many Black people at the school. And so the three of us were often like the only three Black girls doing a thing, like being on the dance squad, like being in cheerleading, twirling those flags, being in like theater. Asia and Ashley can sing, and Ashley comes from like a musical family. And I cannot, but they sure did rope me into singing many a song, including how did I get roped in to sing Whitney and Mariah? You know, that song for the Prince of Egypt? There
Oh,
can
yes,
be miracles.
I do. Yeah.
No business singing it.
If you believe.
I think a lot I was just watermelon cantalouping in the back.
Oh my God.
No sounds were coming out. But
That is that you former theater kid, watermelon cantaloupe. Yes.
right, like they needed me for moral support. But it's
So
a duet.
funny.
So yeah.
Yes, it is. So you were good.
But so we didn't all go to the same colleges, but we just remained in each other's lives and just rooted for each other. And when I had an opportunity to think about the audiobook, usually they give you like a few, like the editors, they find the finalists and then they send you the 3 different little snippets of people reading. And if you're lucky, you pick one that they like and they go with it. But I decided one thing about taking 10 years for a book is that you have a lot of dreams for the book. And so you're like, this is the cover. I just really need this cover. And this is, and I did that. I did a lot of those self-advocacy. And it was nice because they've done this. Like Asia has done audiobooks before. Ashley has done a lot of animation, like voiceover stuff. So it wasn't like, here are my friends from junior high school who like have no IMDb pages, but trust me.
Who knows if they read?
Yeah. So it worked out and it's very special. Yeah.
And not only is it humans, that it is humans that it is this crazy parallel to the book too. And that is, I listened and read simultaneously and it brought me just like extra layers of joy. Reading.
I have not listened because I was roped into reading a part of it and that makes me not want to listen to any of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
That's
I will.
Fair. I had to get used to that very quickly starting a podcast. I was like, oh, I'm going to be editing my voice. I'm going to be listening all the time. I hate it, but I need to suck it up and deal with it.
Okay.
I feel you. You'll move past. It's great. They're great. So it's worth listening to them for them.
Thank you.
This is like a spoiler in quotation marks, but it's not because it happens in like the first page. But the first chapter, it talks a lot about dying with dignity and what that means. I was just talking to a friend about this because we both were observing like grandparents getting older. And here I am talking to you about bowling and being sore from bowling, let alone 40 years from now, what my body's going to be doing. It's so irrelevant to ask how your feelings about it. But there is this, again, I'm not giving anything away, but let's say, what is on your bucket list?
Oh, in life? like in life
Yeah.
to do.
Yes. Let's say you were like, you know what? The time is soon. Let me do these things before
Oh, okay. Like I only have
traveling to Europe. I know. I like skipped 3 questions, which the journey would have gotten there, but I want to, let's just get here first. This will tell more about you.
Oh man, I feel it's really interesting because it's like when you have kids, that changes. It's there's like all these things I need to communicate to this child. So if let's imagine that's not it, because I would just literally be making audiobooks. Like I would just be trying to impart information. But okay.
That's beautiful too.
Yeah.
Let's get you a little recorder.
But if we're just thinking about like general bucket lists, not the realities of my current life, but like just in general.
Yeah.
It's interesting because I find like deep meaning and purpose from writing, but I also just like to hang out.
Well, those things are in conflict with each other.
Yeah. So would I want to just make sure I write like these next 2 books that I have in my head? Or would I just be like, I'm going to get credit card with the biggest limit and just
Yes.
they can't make anybody pay it when I'm gone. I'm just going to ball out and go to, I haven't been to South Africa, which where I would like to go. Like I've been to North Africa and I've been to East Africa and West Africa, but I have not been to South Africa. I have not been to South America. Yeah, so I would travel and then I don't know, I wouldn't.
I feel like travel is a very common
Yeah.
thing. It's like get out and see more of the world.
Yeah.
I'd want to travel. I'd want to go to some really good restaurants.
Yes. Eat, drink, and be merry. Absolutely. I also feel like I would. That's one of the nice things I think about getting older is that some of the things like I would finally tell this person or that person a thing. I feel like either that feels less important to me or I already did tell them. Like I don't.
Yeah. Getting older, I'm like, oh, I care less about certain things. Yeah.
I don't. And so I do think that I don't know, I need better like bucket list aspirations. I don't.
Going to South Africa is a great first item.
Yeah.
Yeah. But no, it like really makes you think about it. Okay, if someone told me tomorrow I had X number of weeks, how would I fill that time? It's an interesting thought exercise.
I would have to rob a bank, obviously. Like
for the thrill.
No, this is just living under capitalism. I'm like, oh, then my husband would have to be a single dad. I need to get more money, so I need to get my John Q on or something to like get this money.
This is very interesting because a lot of what you're saying is suddenly this is turning into a therapy session. A lot of what you're saying is take care of those you would leave behind. You'd want to leave lots of notes for the kids. You'd want to leave money for the husband. You'd want to maybe notes about the books that are in your head so someone else could write them.
Yeah, or put together all these notebooks. Like there's actually books in here if you just follow the breadcrumbs. That I obviously refuse to do currently. Like there are books in here.
Yeah, that's okay. Do you have any sisters?
I have 2 sisters. I have an older sister and a younger sister.
Okay. There are 2 sisters in the book, Danielle and Desiree. Danielle was born bossy. Desiree was compliant. Which are you?
Oh, compliant.
Oh.
Yeah, I feel like I am.
That's very middle child of you.
In that relationship, in the sibling relationship, I am compliant. Like in my life, I'm probably bossier, but there's just a way when you're like if you have an older sibling who is like takes up a lot of attention and space, you can compete or you can just submit. And I just submitted. Like I used to think I was shy and I realized, oh no, I just didn't have a lot of time to talk.
Yeah. I'm the oldest.
Okay.
I relate to everything you're saying. My middle sister, I would say, can relate to exactly what you're talking about. Yeah, I think she's a boss in her real life, and she is compliant in between me and my youngest sister. I would say. But we love her. She's the best. Okay, there's something that comes up in the book that felt so disgustingly real to me. I don't know if you've seen, I've been drinking out of my Zabar's mug.
Okay.
I'm a New Yorker at heart. I lived there for many years. there's a scene where there's apartment hunting going on, and she has all of her documents, all of her checkbook, her cash, her this or that. People do not understand what apartment hunting in New York is like. And so thank you for sharing with the world.
Oh, yeah. She's got like her color printed like credit report so they could see the
Yes.
green. They need to see the green, right? Like
Yes.
a quick glance. They need to see green. And yeah, it still feels like she only gets the apartment because she has a name that is like raceless. Like it doesn't, if anything, it leans to like January Wells. Like you wouldn't
Right.
know ahead of time that she was Black. And so when she shows up, the broker doesn't dare not give her their apartment, but he tries to make it sound worse than it even is, hoping she'll just give up on the apartment.
But she's no, I literally have the receipts and you're going to give it to me.
Yeah.
And I have my pen, my black ink. I'm going to sign them.
I have the money order. What do
Right.
you need? I have everything.
Literally, my husband and I filled out a form on a garbage can outside of an apartment in Astoria with our cash, with our this, with our that, with our credit report, because that is just how it goes. And like literally there were people waiting on the sidewalk to see the apartment while we're filling out the
And you were like, it's not yours. It's not yours.
Nice.
Oh my God.
It is. I feel like LA is starting to become that way, but it wasn't always that way.
Okay. So the other thing that felt so true, both in the New York universe, but also just like life in general, is the concept of why it was so reasonable to pay $800 at a club for drinks, but that a $40 cab ride was absolutely not. And I was like, wait, this is New York math, and it makes so much sense to me. Why? Why do you think that is? I don't understand.
I think it's because it's, that it's two things. One, like a $40 cab ride, before there was Uber surges, there was just cabs would turn off the meter and tell you a price. They would be like, where are you going? And they would tell you a price. So you're being gouged. Like it doesn't, the rate is not just the rate. Whereas like at the club, if you're not a celebrity, like there's an evil printout of the prices of these bottles. And that's
You know what you're getting yourself into.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. There's also something about you're at the club, it's going to cost what it's going to cost. Whereas when you're in the cab, you're like, there's that part of you that knows I could have taken the subway.
I could have, yeah. Or maybe
it could have been
even,
$2.50.
yes. Or maybe even I could have just gotten into a different cab, and even if the meter is on, maybe he would have just driven faster or something.
Yes.
Like,
Though what's hilarious is it's by mileage and not time. So no matter I've always been in a cab and I'm like, come on, just go faster. I'm like, no, it's really the same no matter what.
It doesn't feel that way.
I know it doesn't.
When you go slower, you see it ticking up.
I know. Oh my God. I was reading it and like sweating because I was like, yes, this feels so real. All right. I don't know how to bring this up. Peeps are mentioned in the book. The marshmallow treat.
I thought you were saying peeps as in people. I was like, say more. Yes, they are.
This is a book about Peeps. Peeps, the marshmallows come up in the book. And it almost made me close it. I was so offended. I hate them. Tell me more. Are you a fan?
Wait, it's not in a positive way, though.
No, it's not. You're right. But still, it's still mentioned. And it's like, it's like saying the president's name on the podcast. I'm like, I'm going to edit it out, even if you say it in a negative way.
Okay, so I didn't know that you felt that strongly. I didn't know there was a contingency of people, because you hear so much about the candy corn community and less about the peep community. But like candy corn's not in there because I just was the third rail. I didn't want to do it.
The candy corn community. Oh my God, I'm dying.
On both sides. Like they are.
You're right.
Just so passionate.
Yes. And this is like, we're talking about it on the brink of candy corn season.
Very much. And it's like,
where do you stand?
a little bit is fine.
A little bit is fine.
But have I exposed my child to candy corn? No, because I'm worried she might be a candy corn person and I can't risk it.
No.
What if she's obsessed?
And the only thing worse than a candy corn person is a candy corn pumpkin person.
Oh, it's like I need even more food coloring. Like
No.
I need some black in there.
More wax. Right. No.
Yeah.
I can have one candy corn.
Mhm.
And that is my limit. Maybe two.
Yeah. But no, like a big bowl, like just a bowl of loose candy corn.
Absolutely not. Though hilariously, a couple of years ago, Katie Couric posted something on Instagram. It was like a meme about candy corn and how if you like pile it around in circles, it like makes a corn on the cob. And I was like, oh, that's crazy. And of course that makes sense. That's why they look how they do. And I did it and I tagged her in it and she replied to me.
Oh, so she's a candy corn person.
I can't remember, but honestly, you know what? She probably wasn't, because if she was, then I would have unfollowed her. But peeps are the spring candy corn.
Yeah, they are the candy corn of the spring, and they are. But I find fewer people love them, except the other day I actually did have a conversation with someone who said they love the iridescent pink ones. Just more chemicals. Why?
This is astonishing to me.
This is a writer. I'm not going to name their name, but this is like a real person. And they said they like them because they taste happier.
What does that even mean?
Exactly. Because peeps have no flavor. They don't it's not like they're strawberry
it's like sugar.
peeps.
No, right.
But this person, iridescent pink
God.
peeps.
We have a lot of writer friends in common, obviously. Now every single writer I talk to, I'm going to bring it up, and I'm gonna
see how they behave. Yeah, just see.
So funny.
But
there's a lot of restaurant kitchen-y in the wilderness.
Yes. I also was a server / manager at a restaurant in DC when I was working on the Turner House.
Oh, cool.
Yes.
There is something on the menu in Nikia's restaurant that is a recipe that she got from Desiree's grandfather. Is there anything like that in your life where you're like, oh, I have or I want so-and-so's recipe for this or so-and-so's mom's recipe for that?
Yes.
Do you have that?
Sometimes when you belong to a community, they believe that they're the only ones who do this thing. And then there's always that annoying person on Twitter or Instagram who's like, we do this thing too. So I feel like one of those things, I don't remember where I saw this, probably in the platform formerly known as Twitter, somebody talked about how like Black people do not like to share their recipes, and that they think it has to do with the fact that so much of their recipes were like they were working in like domestic capacities in people's homes, and these white people took their recipes and then just said it's Southern cooking, but it was like Black, this is African American cooking. But people in the comments were like, my grandma, I'm from El Salvador, my grandma doesn't like to share her recipes either, etc. So who knows? But a lot of older people in my family, a lot of older women in my family are very protective of their recipes. Like my late Aunt Rose was so protective of her pineapple upside down cake recipe that she did not really tell anyone before she died. And now we just are left with like sad improvised facsimiles by people who saw her. Because she didn't even used to let people see her, but she did let some people see her. But there is no like actual official recipe.
Wow.
And I use that to scare my dear Auntie Alicia. Do not do that with the carrot cake. Do not do that with the carrot cake. I know you want to be the one to bring it. You want no one to steal your shine, but do not not forget to actually write it down, because
do we know that it's written somewhere? Can we have her write it down and put it in a safe box or in at the vault?
I'm working on this.
Or...
I know she has told my cousin, but then every time my cousin has tried to replicate it, it has not been quite right. And I feel like she is gatekeeping still some secret ingredient.
Something, right.
We're not doing that until I feel like it's time. But even like her sweet potato pie recipe, she told me on the phone, and it was a lot of non-measurements. And
Auntie Alicia.
Just put it in there until it looks right. And I'm like...
What does it mean to look right? Send pictures.
Yes. So some of those things I have tried to get the measurements myself by trial and error. But yeah, so I have a few like that. Yes.
Okay. Oh, I'm on this journey though now. Once I need to make sure that this carrot cake recipe lives on in the world.
Me too. If you had this carrot cake, you would understand. It is not like any carrot cake you've had around. Okay.
Have you been to Carrot Top Pastries?
Oh, where is it?
It is in Washington Heights. You have to go to Carrot Top Pastries.
Okay.
It is right off the 168th Street subway station.
Okay. I'm dropping a pin.
They have carrot cake muffins. They have carrot cake. Their rugelach is out of control. I don't, this is not to compete with Auntie Alicia.
No,
but
I'm interested in the information.
yes, you just need to, it is worth having. It is worth going to.
Drop in a pen. Thank you.
I dream about their regala. I dream about their carrot cake muffins, their carrot muffins. If there's one thing that you take away from this conversation, it is
Okay.
that. They have good sandwiches. I'm a big fan. So
This is very good to know. Thank you.
that's my PSA. In the book, there is a party hosted that is, they call it the group of 7 because that's like the perfect ratio of people to have a party.
Mm-hmm.
Who would your 7 be?
Oh, man. Am I trying to have that party? Because that's a very specific goal for that party.
No, just like in general. And it doesn't, you don't even, if you don't want to name names, like what are the kinds of 7 people that you would want to bring together?
I don't mind naming names.
Here, like, I'm going to put it in writing.
Listen, I'm trying to speak it into, come on. I want to have this party. That party, like the goal for that party is to try to raise awareness about the climate, but also just to be mixy for mixy's sake. Like they just want to have people that they think are cool and should know each other in a room, or people that they think make them look cool. I know some people who don't make 6 figures. Like that makes me feel cool. So let's have one of them in the room.
I'll be there. I don't make 6 figures.
Right. So Jay would be the character this was her brainchild. She would be like, you know what? We need him because we need real people.
Jason is so real.
Yeah. So for my group of 7, I would absolutely want somebody who I just think is really like funny. And that is my good friend, New Yorker staff writer, Vincent Cunningham. He's just really funny. And he's also just a person who can like mix it up with anyone, which is something I deeply admire and like aspire to.
Shout out to his book, Great Expectations, that came out last year.
And I would want someone not from this country, like absolutely.
Yeah. Assuming they want to be here.
Yes, assuming they want to be. This party doesn't have to happen.
You're right. No, this is right.
In the contiguous or territories, does not have to happen. And that might be my friend, Gazan poet Yahya Ashur, who is also very funny, but just somebody who doesn't think about. There's a presumption that I think especially Americans have about just anything, like how things are supposed to be. And I value his friendship because I'm reminded often, like, this is a presumption that just comes from provincialism, even though I've traveled a lot, etc. It's important to be reminded of that. I don't think I can list 7 people. It feels very hard. But
that's okay. No, because I was thinking the same thing. I was like, I don't know, in the pressure of the 7 right people.
Yeah. I certainly would want someone older, which, again, I'm very into intergenerational friendships. So that older person could be, I am a deep admirer of the curator, Thelma Golden, who runs the Studio Museum of Harlem. Maybe I could trick Thelma to come to my dinner party. But those are, I guess, some of the qualities of people who I just feel like are funny and can get along with anyone, people who I think do not bring the same sort of perspective. Not that they would need to be useful in that way, but I think it would just like organically arise. I love visual art. I also love food. Why not you? Why not Ina and Jeffrey?
Yes. Listen,
this party's happening in the Hamptons at their house, actually.
Perfect. Okay. This is, in summation, we have a normal person, a funny person, someone outside this country, an older person, an artist, a chef, and you.
Yes.
That's a great list.
Okay, we got to 7. I didn't think.
Yes.
Okay.
I love that. It's a good structure of an interesting group of people to come together.
Yes.
Anyway, I was curious because I had a very hard time, so I wanted to get inspired. Before I let you go, there's something I want to talk to you about. There is, briefly in the book, there is sort of talk of goodness and what that means. And not to name drop or humble brag, but I did just have Stacey Abrams on Gaze Reading.
Okay.
We talked a bit as well about goodness and what it means to be good. And she just had an interesting response. And I was curious what that means to you.
This is an important thing to think about once you have a character gripe about it in your book. But I think about kindness a lot more than goodness. I think I was raised not really to prize niceness or goodness as much as like kindness. Like one thing about New York is that I love, but that it also is like just a thing to contend with, is that people you have to witness in a way that can be tucked away in car cities, people with different mobility capabilities. And so a thing like your like there's just like the kindness of a New Yorker just picking up the end of a stroller and helping somebody get it down the stairs and going about their day, right? Or literally the other day, this woman, like an older woman, had her little granny cart trying to get into the bodega, but there was like that cement lip she couldn't get over. And I just reached and yanked it up and I just kept going. And I find that kind of kindness is maybe like more important to me than goodness, because I also worry about the inherent performativity of goodness. It's about, can you be good if it's like a tree falling in the forest, if no one witnesses it? But kindness is about the person who you did the thing for, they witnessed it. You didn't need anything from them. And in New York, people can be pathological about, I don't want anything. I'm trying to make the train. No, I don't even want to make eye contact.
I want to move faster, so
Yeah.
I'm going to help you down.
Or I just, it's, I'm going to help you because I see it, but I'm not, it's not going to be a whole thing. And I feel, especially in hashtag these times, I do feel like people have to figure out where they can apply even small, like just kindness to people. Like, I feel like that is a thing that is going to help like communities survive. I think there's a great community space called Another World in Crown Heights that a friend of mine is really involved in, and I've just tangentially gone to their stuff, their events. But one of the things that this community space has really helped me realize is that they just like they have play dates, like just open to anyone for 2 hours, sometimes on the weekends. They are just in the business of what does this community need, and let's give it if we can. And it's not necessarily about any individual person. I'm sure it is, because that's just human nature, being good. But it is like together, it's like such a huge good. But it's just all of these small acts of kindness that they do by having the space and by letting people feel like they can be part of it.
Yeah. Interesting. I just love it because everyone has their own interpretation of what it means. And I think that's really cool. There are so many other things I could talk to you about. The book is so beautiful, and you're going to fall in love with these women and their world. And I don't want to talk about the title, even though I like have questions for you about the wilderness in your world. But I'll let readers read it and have their own thoughts and feelings. But everyone go get your copy of The Wilderness. Angela Flournoy, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. This was so much fun.
Yes, gay weird time.
Rickey Laurentiis, welcome to Gay's Reading.
I'm so glad to be feel understood as gay and appreciated, I hope.
I appreciate you saying that because I'm like not old, but I feel like I am
How old are you? You don't want to say. Never
I'm
mind.
37. I'm 37. I'm 37.
I'm 33.
Okay. I am from the quote unquote generation where gay was all encompassing. And so when I say guest gay reader, to me, that is anyone who is LGBTQIA+. So I appreciate that you feel seen, because I do see all of the people when I say that.
Yeah. It's funny how all these kind of terms have different usages and balances and stuff. So that's real fun, gay.
So, as my guest gay reader today, let's start off right off the bat. What are you reading?
What am I reading right now? I'm going to try to answer it honestly. The last thing I was reading.
You don't have to be honest. You can answer however
I'm gonna answer
you want.
it.
I'm not the reading police.
I was on a wiki rabbit hole. I love to read, but I also love to research and like on deep stuff. And I was just reading the etymology of faith. The very last.
The etymology of faith?
Yeah, I was looking it up. I just wanted to see. I don't really trust definitions, but I love etymology. I like to see the path the word has taken through history and some of its residences there. I like to see that more often than a straight definition.
Yeah.
So
Was there
it's more
something that
funny.
you learned that surprised you about faith?
Not really. No, it was pretty much start. No trouble. Stop. My cat is trying to get up. It is, I guess, when I was right in the middle of it, so I don't really have really smart ideas to say about it yet. But something that was interesting, this term rock fashionist came up. Rock fashionist. And I thought that
Rock
was
fastness.
I thought that I'm gonna definitely use it. I thought that was like a kind of beautiful quasi image to put aside faith as something. And I'm not overzealous. I'm spiritual, but I'm not evangelical. But
Mm.
so that's what I was most literally reading. But right now
Yeah.
I'm trying to. So today's my pub day. My book came out. It's 10
Yes,
years
happy
in the
Pub Day.
making. I'm excited about that. And in those 10 years to write it, I have had a steadily more confused relationship with contemporary poetry. I read a lot in antiquity. I read a lot in the past. And so I'm trying to welcome myself and urge myself back into the flux and flow of contemporary poetic. But I'm not doing it very well. The very last thing I was reading was The End of Beauty by Joy Graham, which came out in the 80s.
Listen, to some people, that's contemporary.
Right. I think she's a brilliant human being, but
Yeah.
I will always read her. But I don't have it to show you, but that's the
Oh,
very
that's
last
okay.
thing I was reading. I think next, if I can do this, I want to give a shout out. I think next I'm going to
Yes, shout
finally
out.
open up my good friend Sophia Sinclair's book, How to Say Babylon. I've had it's been on my bookshelf for just too long, and now I'm ready to to uncover its beauty
Love.
for it.
You talked about reading poetry in antiquity, which is
Are you
a
a poet?
beautiful. No, but so
He
I was
says
just gonna,
with offense in his voice.
I'm not articulate enough.
appreciate-
I'm not metaphoric enough. couldn't. I don't speak
You
in
read
a way
it.
that's beautiful enough.
You
I'm
probably think that way. You think
I'm learning to appreciate it. So I was going to ask
that's
you,
exciting. Okay.
to me and to listeners who might be like, poetry, what would
Yeah.
you say to that person?
I would say I get it. Like I think a poet.
I get it, but buy my book.
Buy my book. The late Louise Glück, who was our most recent American Nobel laureate for poetry. She won a couple of just very close to when she died. He writes in the essay that poet is not a noun for passport. It doesn't describe the professionalization in the ways that maybe doctor does, a lawyer does. For me, every time I admit, and it does feel like every time I admit that I'm a poet, and not just a poet, but like I take it seriously. I publish and stuff. I am reminded of the embarrassment. Some kind of way I have that feeling of embarrassment with it, which there's nothing to be embarrassed by logically, but I can remind me of myself when I was still a child and I was very Emily Dickinson about it. I was like writing secretly to myself and like as a gay youth. And it was the means in which I was able to learn myself and come into myself. So I would say to that person who's like a little bit hesitant with poem, not enjoy mine if you like. But I would say just dive in and try to find some kind of comfort. This is what poetry does. Poetry brings you up and makes you meet your own language in an exciting and sometimes maddening way. And for people who are not yet comfortable or used to that kind of engagement, that space, poetry can seem like falling into a foreign language, and it can be very nervous making, frightening, and maybe even humiliating. I'm not sure. So I think I understand all that. I get it, like I said, but I also say that you don't have to. They were wrong in 11th grade English class. That's not how you read the poem. You don't have to like dissect.
I appreciate you saying that, and I'm really glad I asked you that question because I didn't think about it that way. And also, you saying it could be humiliating is so true because the idea of reading something that you don't understand is humiliating, right?
Sure.
So if you, I think that might be another reason why people are afraid of poetry,
particularly Americans. I think it more than likely has to do with us being English speakers and being relatively isolated. Like we don't have a lot of countries around us in comparison to are in juxtaposition to like European countries where they have to, like, it's not maybe a matter of like privilege or want, just for the betterment of the continent. They need to know something of the other languages as they
Yeah.
travel. That's not the case really in America or in the United States. You find just different in commons with English as you move around America. I think that poetry is active and fun and alive in America, but it's still also coming. And I feel like I'm ready for people to experience it the way that I do. And I think it's very
Yeah.
beautiful. Poems, contrary to belief, come in so many tones, so many
Yeah.
balances, so many modes. Some are serious, others are erotic, some are funny, some are irreverent. And it's just important that people recognize that and introduce themselves, not just to poems, but to art, to painting, to film, to all the
Yeah.
things that make life worth living.
And that are a little bit outside of the comfort zone.
Sure.
Stretch
Yeah.
the muscles a little
Sure.
bit.
It's very much like bottoming. Let's just go get there. It's very much
Patience and
true.
breathing, everyone.
Deeply, I'm just thinking about this, but it deeply is related to the idea of bottoming. It's scary at first. It's gonna be a ride, but you know what? You will be rewarded if you just go a little deeper.
What else is there to
telling
say?
you it's true.
Rickey, this is bye. Have a great rest of your day.
Yeah.
That's, oh my God. If this chapter of your life that you're in right now has a title, what would it be?
Eclose. That's ECLOSE, which is the moment after a caterpillar has deatomized and rolled themselves up into a chrysalis. They emerge from the cocoon or whatever. And before we imagine that they just, oh, wow, I'm a butterfly. But they actually have to stand or sit there and pump blood into their wings. And that's called the eclose of the
Wow.
butterfly. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Eclose. And so I feel I would title it the eclose. I feel like I'm on a precipice and I'm
Yeah.
pumping.
Anyone who's watching maybe saw me roll my eyes at you, and it was simply because the conversation 5 minutes ago where you asked me if I was a poet, and I was like, no, because I couldn't come up with something so beautiful like eclose. That is beautiful, Rickey. Come on.
It's a beautiful word. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love that so much. Okay, tell the people about your brand new book of poetry, Death of the First Idea.
Sure. Death of the First Idea is my second book. It comes after, as I mentioned earlier, a 10-year period from my first book, which is called Boy with Lauren. And then in the interim time, I transitioned. So I moved from presenting as what I would have once called maybe a gay twink boy. I don't know. I never had terms for it because it never felt, in one sense, necessary, and in the other sense, just possible. But I'll come back to this point. But I did transition over the 10-year span, and towards the end of that period, I underwent a series of transformative events in my life. Some of them violent, some of them romantic, some of them lovely. And so the book tried to, and not in an autobiographical way, but more in a mythological way, it tracks those sentiments. And it's while also presenting to a readership some antecedents for where trans life, but you can extend that to queer or gay life, where it derives from, which is antiquity. That's why I'm way back. Like, you have to skip the latest millennium and get to the ones before that. For some exciting times, queer.
Yeah, it's
queer
very
people.
much that saying of you have to know where you came from to know where you're going, or something like that.
Yeah, it's tricky because as you look back at the past in terms of identity, it's difficult. It's a hazy project because the language has only so recently arrived to describe gay people or to describe Black people who are free. And so when you go back and you try to look for your antecedents, you have to be like a mystery writer. Like find it,
Uncover what it was.
and uncover it,
Yeah.
which is exciting for me. I like to do that. I like reading. I just enjoy that kind of project. But beyond that, the poems just spilled out of that one place, and hopefully it's presented as beauty.
I have in one of the hats that I wear is a theater director.
Okay.
And whenever I'm directing a show, I often talk about how my actors shouldn't be afraid to play in the rehearsal room and see what sort of comes up and try new things, because I'm a firm believer in the first idea isn't necessarily the best idea. And it might not even be until you get to the sixth, seventh, or eighth that you find the one that makes the most sense. So the book title really resonates with me. Where does that come from for you? I could surmise poetically, but if you wanted to speak about why you wanted to call your book that.
All of that. First, I want to say, I think it was Allen Ginsberg who said the first idea is the best idea, which I've never. If you can be so lucky. Like anything. Only Beyonce wakes up flawless. Only she does. So I don't know. And I wonder, because you wrote Howl, which is this long prophetic text, and I'm like, you didn't just spurt that out in one go. So it takes to manifest almost anything, except for my title. Death was the first idea, was the first thing I heard. It just it arrived. I received it. I heard it in my head. And I said, oh, that's interesting. I wonder what that could mean. There is maybe at this point, 8 years ago, when this happened.
Wow.
I haven't transitioned. I haven't moved from Brooklyn to Pittsburgh to New Orleans. I'm an adult. I'm working as a poet, but I haven't yet gone to the second book, which in many ways, it functions more like a third book or a fourth book, because so much has arrived in the interim span of time. But like I said, the title came to me, and usually I was the opposite way. Usually I will write the thing and then I'll title it. I will struggle with titles. But that has reversed. And I think that's getting. I used to be I was capable, but I was shy, almost painfully, and over scrutinous of myself and everyone else in relationship to me. And I was hesitant to title myself, just like I did before. I don't know. Whereas I grew into the title with this book. And so I realized that in just a plain quotidian way, the first idea is just simply your first notion of yourself, which necessarily, I'm 36 or 37, the hazy process, I get the hazy kind of notion, because you are literally adjusting to the world. You were growing. I think about it, when we were born, we're literally here for the first time. So we are trying to adjust to living, as opposed to in addition to also living with this idea of the self, in addition to developing that self. And I'm not convinced that, frankly, anyone gets it or gets it right. But I'm not convinced of the narrative that only straight people have that confirmed, and then gay people, trans people, queer people are delayed in that knowledge. And if they are delayed, whose fault is that? I don't know. That's my answer to that question.
I always say, in general, becoming an adult to me meant realizing that no adult knows what they're doing, and we're all making it up as we go along.
Yeah. I think I realized that I had that same kind of revelation when I realized why am I scrutinizing myself based on imagined monologues in strangers' heads, when probably they're just thinking about their own lives, their own days, their own egos, and they are adults usually, and they have no idea. They have no more idea of what to do here or there than I do in this second. And so it was like an ego death. It goes back to the title too. It's an ego death that I underwent. That was really exciting for me, because it also allowed me to get to the next part of that sentence, which you just said. Adulting is the realization that, probably most adults don't know what they're doing here and there. And I would just add, and also to give grace for that, which doesn't mean be a people pleaser, which doesn't mean be a pushover, but to exchange grace with each other as we do often with children. We're very tender
who are learning.
Children. You can't always be that way with an adult, but you can give them some notion of grace, and it allows you to be poised and capable, I think.
Yeah, I think that's such a great way to put it, because realizing that none of us know what we're doing, and in turn have grace and patience with the other people around you who don't know what they're doing.
Especially your family to do that.
Yeah.
I still hold my family to court, but I also recognize what grace does.
Good for you. Have you ever thought about writing a novel?
Yeah, yeah, I know. I feel like all my writerly career is tussling with the notion of novel.
Mm,
And so, frankly, I'm just like, I know I'm going to do it eventually, but what will it be like? Because I know it's not
yeah,
going to be just straight fiction. It's not,
sure.
I'm not giving that because you can get there where you get there. Like, I mean, I'm a poet. This is important to remember that I'm a poet. But yeah, the answer to your question is yeah.
And
And
I
I just
ask because I have learned that one of my favorite, it's not even a subgenre, but something that I made up in my mind is the novel by the poet.
sure.
Because like Kaveh Akbar's book, Sean Hewitt's books,
Ocean
Erica L.
Vuong.
Sanchez's books, Ocean Vuong's books, they're
Right,
poets. And then,
Sophia, it's a
yes,
memoir, but you if you get Sinclair, it's the one to pick up too. It's a poem.
yeah. Erica Sanchez's
The big
Crying in the
memoir.
Bathroom, her memoir of essays, is one of my favorite books.
Yeah.
And
What
and
makes you love them as a poet? What makes it special for you? Or you
that is such a good question because I don't know. I think because poets see the world in such a specific way, and in turn, it it poems are an economy of words.
right
And
necessarily.
so you often feel like books by poets, regardless of how long they are, every word or every idea really matters. And
Sure.
that to me comes
It's
across on the
weighted.
page.
Yeah, the words are
Yes.
weighted in a different way. What I meant when I said straight prose or straight fiction,
Yes,
it's just a
exactly.
different it's a different negotiation with language.
If I got to put in a request for a poem of the future, for me, I would love for it to be with the title Only Beyonce Wakes Up Flawless.
Only Beyonce was the flawless. I'm gonna write it down.
If I got to request a Rickey Laurentiis
There's a
poem,
only Beyonce wakes up flawless.
those are your
write that.
words. I'm just repeating your words back to you.
Do you know there's a book of poetry that you might enjoy by Morgan Parker called "There Are More Beautiful Things Than Beyonce."
Oh, fun.
You probably will like that book. I would suggest it. There are more beautiful things than Beyonce. I think that's just
Oh, that's good to know.
only
Oh my
Beyonce
goodness.
wakes up flawless.
Your words, Rickey. Your words.
She wakes up so flawless that she gets up and immediately drops a hit. Like that's not human. That's not normal level. It's one thing to wake up and be like, "Damn, I look good," and I still look good, but to look that good and to rush to the studio and to say I have to cut the track Beyonce needs to be studied. She's a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful idol, but she must be.
I would read your dissertation.
So I feel like I'm a little bit her brain, but I'm glad I'm. Yeah.
I love it. Are you kidding me? This is my brand.
Sure.
Rickey Laurentiis, thank you so much for being my guest gay reader today.
Sure.
This is fabulous.
It's
Everybody
fun.
go get your copy of Death of the First Idea. It is out now. And
Yeah,
I think we all owe it to ourselves to become more interested in poetry if we're afraid of it. I'm going to face my fear.
Could I read to you one short little poem?
Would you
Okay.
please? I honestly,
love-
I fantasized about this, but I didn't want to put you on the spot.
I love people fantasizing about me. Do it more often. No, I'm gonna. I'm a poet, so even though I'm embarrassed, I like poems. So I'm gonna read.
Yes,
This
what a joy.
is a short one. It's called Disappointment. I think writing through my crisis, at my crisis, during crisis, this disappointed me. Where before I was fixed so high, black tourmaline. Now that I think it don't matter what I think, the tower, the fool. Doubt equipped me with a severe patience. Doubt took over my mouth and named convenient. If I rode brass horses thundering in my head, I said nothing. If I said nothing, yeah. So a moon instead composed me. Pearl. Haven't I disappointed everyone, Orisha? Even the ants, look, they desert me with the repeal of my so-called genius. And that's that.
Lovely. Oh, thank you so much for reading that.
You're welcome. Yeah.
I can't wait for all of us to dive in.
Yeah. It'll be fun. Thank you.
Angela, Rickey, thank you so much both for being here. Everyone, check out The Wilderness and Death of the First Idea, both books out now wherever you get your books. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you next week. Bye.